All right, what's up, guys? It's RealTalk Murph here. Today we're going to be talking about accountability and responsibility, something that should be weighing on all of our minds all the time because we have to be accountable for the things that we do. I could give you the definition. In fact, why don't I do that right now? Accountability, according to Google, the fact or condition of being accountable or responsible. That's it. It's very black and white. Now, Google also gives some other stuff on here, which Google can be very helpful at times. What does it mean to be accountable? According to Google, to be responsible means to be answerable for something within one's power or control. Notice the two aspects of the definition: the ability to control plus being able to answer for something. To be accountable means to be subject to giving an account or having the obligation to report, explain, or justify something. What does that mean? What does that mean to real life? Okay, what that means in most cases, you have to tell where you are, been, was at any time in the case that you are faced with a life-changing event. Anytime. So let's say you were thrown in jail, right? You had no idea why you were thrown in jail, but you were thrown in jail, and somebody's blaming you for murder. You're going to have to prove where you were, what you were doing, how you were doing it, in order to be accountable for your actions. If you can't prove that, guess what? They think you murdered someone. So that goes for all things. So I gave you a huge extreme. But being responsible is very much the same thing, except for with what you do, you have to know that it's right or wrong. Okay? So being responsible means that you have achieved a goal in which you were trying to make, you were trying to get to. There's that finish line. Responsibility means you are able to answer those questions, and it is responsible for you to answer those accountability questions. To have that responsibility means you know that everything you did was right. I'd like to introduce you to my friend, N.S.A.T.
What's up?
He's going to give you some insight into his life, his channels, and how he sees accountability.
All right. So I'm N.S.A.T. N.S.A.T. is an acronym. It stands for Not So Anonymous Tyler. The name was given to me by Polk County Sheriff's Office here in Wisconsin. I remained anonymous for quite some time with them, and then once they found out who I was, that's how they referred to me in some of their emails back and forth amongst each other. And so, yeah, I just go by that now on my channel, Pocowie Productions. Pocowie is Po for Polk, and then Co for County, so Polk County, and then the WI for Wisconsin. And I just pronounce it Pocowie. You call it Pokawee, whatever the heck you want, but I made it up, so it's Pocowie.
I like Pocowie. Let's do Pocowie. Or what kind of things can we see on your channel?
So basically what I do is I try and show citizens, not necessarily just our county, since it's on YouTube, it's global, anybody can see it, but specific for our county, how it is a citizen would go and request open records. Whether you're trying to request a complaint on an officer, whether you're trying to request a 911 call, emails, pretty much anything a public servant, doesn't necessarily have to be a cop, it could be your city manager or whoever, any public official, there's an open record to that. Since they work for you, you have insight to what they're doing. And I just wanted to see how they treated the citizens when they tried to ask certain questions. For the most part, they don't bother you if it's not relevant to them. If I went and asked for RealTalk Murph's police record, they would give it to me without any questions asked. But if I ask, does this officer over here have any complaints on him, that's when it becomes a problem. So there's a double standard there. They definitely are for open records when it has nothing to do with them. You can see that in the political world with politicians, governors, presidents, whatever. They don't want to give out their emails. That's how emails all of a sudden get leaked. Somebody has a conscience and does the right thing when they should have been able to get them regardless.
I like the way that this thing is starting off already. What inspired this fight?
I originally started by going out to prove that our area here in Polk County was better than what I had seen on the internet previously from different places around, mainly the United States, but other countries as well. I seen videos out there of people bashing cops and saying that, you know, they're bad and they did this and they do that. And I was like, okay, well, you see a case here and there, and I'm like, that's far-fetched, you know, like it's somebody's twisted it or they edited that video. And then I seen videos of people trying to make complaints. Let's say they were beat up by a police officer and they tried to go make a complaint, and I seen the harassment that they were given when they did so. Either they weren't allowed to make a complaint or they were followed back to their car, might have been followed home. And then the harassment continued. They might get pulled over for the next couple months for seatbelt tickets, not using a blinker, just retaliatory type things. And again, I said, you know, that's far-fetched. Like, that doesn't happen. This is just YouTube, internet stuff, because at this time I don't even know what's going on. Beyond me, this is just people playing around on the internet, making stuff up. I want to go and make my own video to show that, you know, this is how it really is. The proof's in the pudding, and it's not pretty. I found out we are just like the rest of the country, and probably other parts of the world. There's this thing they call the thin blue line, and this is specific to dealing with the police law enforcement agencies. The thin blue line, and that's like a code of silence between them. It's you know, people refer to them as a gang, and they have each other's back over the citizens' back. And I have a very good sense of that now, dealing with it firsthand.
That's beautiful, man. I gotta give it to you. You got big, huge cojones. All right. So with all this work that you're doing, and do you have an end game? Do you have something that you really want to accomplish here?
Understanding that the people behind the counter, the public servants, are human. And so just like any other work, I have a job I go to, and they give you this thick, 2-inch thick, you know, policy manual. They give you all these things, but there's probably not one person in the company that knows all of it. And it's just like the laws. And so these people, they're just like you and me. They get hired to a job. They don't necessarily know what they're doing. They might be learning on the fly. And so my biggest thing that I'm trying to accomplish is, if they, you know, we started out bad and they're not treating people right and they're not giving records, the goal is to have them change their ways, to follow the own laws that they're, you know, swear to uphold and protect. You know, they swear to uphold the Constitution and then the state laws and all that, and to actually have them follow through and do that. And so I try to calmly and politely bring it up to them that, hey, you're doing this wrong. You know, they, like, for an instance, they want, if you ask for a public record, you can remain anonymous in the state of Wisconsin anyways. And they try to get me to give them my name, phone number, address. I mean, pretty much everything shy of a social security number and a bank account. You know, through email reply and say, no, you know, per the law, per what I've read in the law, and I'm no lawyer, so I don't know, but I just tell them nice politely that I think that's wrong, and you can still move forward. It took months in this one instance, because it was the first time I made the request, for them to finally give in and admit that, okay, you're right, you can remain anonymous, and then went forward from there. Still didn't make very much progress, but at least they acknowledged that. But there's been other hurdles. This has been going on for over a year and a half, and they are very slow to conform to what's right.
Do you think that some of this is caused from internal culture, whether it's the police department, courthouse, your work? Do you think a lot of these things, ignored rules, ignored laws, were due to the fact that people just came in and said, I don't feel like doing it this way? Or they grew as a culture, as a group, a brotherhood, to have an understanding of how they are going to run theirs aside from whatever the law says?
Yeah, I think it's very ego-driven versus law-driven. If they feel, even though there's a law in the books, like a public records law that says they have to do something a certain way, if their ego, if they feel that that's wrong, they'll just break it. Who else is going to hold them accountable? Well, it's us, the civilians, the citizens. It's our civic duty to hold them accountable. It's in the Constitution. That's why we have our rights, is to avoid a tyrannical government. There's lots of quotes out there from famous people beyond me, and I don't know them off the top of my head, but they're great and they fit. That's the whole reason the Constitution made is so we don't become a different type of country like North Korea or something like that. There's also state laws, and there's a state constitution. But all these things fall into place. They're supposed to uphold all of them. But too many times you see them using their discretion only to benefit themselves and then hurt the citizens. And it seems more as a money game. And you can look up statistics on like the over jailing, over incarceration of the people in the United States, like how many millions there are for having a little bit of marijuana or just very small infractions, stealing $20 worth of something. Because there's some states out there that have like a 3-strike rule. Like you get 3 little petty things or whatever, but that don't matter. Now it's a felony. It doesn't matter how small it is. Like it's just crazy that people that sit behind a desk can just write something down on a piece of paper and then say you can't do this. One really egregious one I've seen, and I don't know what state it was. They have a law, or maybe it's just I don't know if it's a state law for them or maybe just like a city ordinance, but they have it regarding garage sales. You can't start your garage sale like earlier than 8 o'clock in the morning. Like you can't put out your garage sale sign until 8 o'clock. Like if you go out there at 7:30, and the cop did, he showed up at the guy's house and he's like, you can't post your garage sale. You can't open yet. And he says, yeah, the law says I can't post it like in my driveway. I have it on a sign around my neck. So, because that's what you have to do. You have to find these loopholes in order to just live. Like, you can't have a garage sale? Come on.
Talk about how you decided to start making videos and posting them.
All right, so that was an interesting thing, and it kind of ties back into the beginning of why I started doing it. Was watching the other videos on YouTube. There's people like Eric F. the Cops Brandt, James Freeman, and then Tom Zebra. Well, at least the Tom Zebra and the Eric Brandt are like cop watcher style guys, but Eric Brandt also does like document himself going in and making complaints, and he's won lots of lawsuits, Supreme Court cases. And then James Freeman was more, he does a lot of cop watching, but he kind of covered other people's of stuff too, that, trying to file complaints and this and that. And so I've seen these guys and they were just far out there. Eric F. the Cops Brandt, he's called that for a reason. He stands outside with a big flag that says F the police, but completely spelled out. He also shouts it from the top of his lungs. I support Eric now 100%. I understand where he's coming from. Tom Zebra's the same way. I think he's been doing this for like 10, 12 years. I can't remember. But he was just getting pulled over left and right in California, and for nothing, just stupid stuff. They just try and arrest people in these bigger cities. Where I'm from in Polk County, Wisconsin is small. It's a population of like 45,000. You got small little towns of a couple thousand people. These guys come and they're a little suburb of 5,000 people, and so the cities are huge and hundreds of thousands. And then James Freeman, he was a little different. He was kind of cocky, but in the beginning, at least from what I've seen, he kind of was just trying to record and do stuff, and then he realized that politeness wasn't getting him anywhere, and then he kind of got an attitude back with the cops or whoever he was watching. Again, I was in disbelief of what I was seeing, and I was like, these guys are crazy. They're drawing the attention to themselves. They're getting themselves arrested because they're acting stupid. Obviously, if you go out and start a fight with a cop, you're going to lose. But what I found out by trying to prove them wrong was that they were right. And that the cops treat you like crap, whether you've done anything right or wrong. They're gonna treat you like a criminal, and that's a little excessive, I guess, because obviously you can walk by a cop at a McDonald's and say hi, and he's probably not going to say F you or something like that. But what I'm saying is, when you're trying to hold them accountable, they're going to treat you like a criminal. They're going to run your background. They're going to spread your information around to other law enforcement agencies. They're going to do whatever they can find stuff in your past from 10 years ago and say that you're a threat to them or this or that. Stuff that you weren't ever even convicted for, but it was somebody wrote it in a police report. And I said, so if I wrote down that, like, you raped me, does that mean it happened? No, because you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty in this state or in this country. But we found that that is more of just a nice sounding phrase rather than factual.
It's objective. It's objective, and it should be black and white.
Yeah.
With that vision that you had, what sets you apart in your videos from the three that you mentioned?
I remain calm. There's a lot of auditors, and I guess I haven't really even classified or defined myself as either or. I'm not really. I don't consider myself a First Amendment auditor, and that's where these guys go and test the capability to be able to go out and film, be a part of free press in public areas. And I don't consider myself a cop watcher. I've really only stopped and recorded cops on 3 occasions, I think. And I've never even uploaded them. I don't think I did anyways. I might have done one. So it was more of me just making a documentary, I guess, would be the better way for it. I'm just documenting what a citizen goes through that tries to be polite. And it's to that point. It's been over a year and a half, getting close to 2 years. I think 2 years will be August or something like that. It pushes you every time you go and talk to these people. And yes, they're polite. They just are like friendly liars. So
Passive aggressive.
Yeah. Well, we're really sorry we couldn't do this for you. We're really sorry. We're trying our best. Well, like I said, it's been a year and a half. I asked for complaints on the deputies at Polk County Sheriff's Office. I finally was able to get just the names of the deputies. Because at first, in order to turn me away, they did give me an estimate. Because they charge you for public records, which is crazy. So per the law, they can charge you for certain things. But they gave me a bill when I asked for the complaints against the officers, the deputies, whatever. It was $5,000 almost. Who in their right mind has $5,000 to pay for paper? I don't. I just want, if they didn't want to give me paper and I could just trust for them to tell me, like, so-and-so has a complaint and this is what it is, I would take that. But dealing with them, I know I can't trust what comes out of their mouth. I need actual physical records and evidence because they will lie. They lie all the time. There's some good ones. Yeah, I've met a handful. I know several decent law enforcement officers that have helped me out, off duty, on duty. If I'm stuck in the side of the road, they come and pull me out when they're off duty in their truck. They don't ask me if I'm drinking. They don't ask me any stupid questions. They just have a good day. See ya. And then you have the tyrants is what they're called. And they're the ones that are trying to just get you arrested, trying to up their stats in arrests and stuff
Add
like
the
that.
Numbers.
Yep. And they don't care about your freedom. They don't care about your life. And those are the ones that need to go. And my goal, beyond just documenting and trying to change the record stuff, is for the police to better police themselves, hold themselves accountable. Our sheriff, Brent Walk, said in like a candidacy type of interview with the local paper that he was all about transparency and accountability. So far, I have found those to be complete lies, because transparency would mean I would have the records I'm requesting, and I don't, and I have to fight tooth and nail for them. I had to get a lawyer. I am taking one police department to court, and depending on how Polk County does in the next few months, probably move on to them as well. And I tell them that outright, but they just don't care. The biggest reason they don't care is because it's not their money. They don't have to pay to get a lawyer to fight it. We pay their lawyer to fight ourselves. So it's crazy. And we pay good money to these people. It's a bad thing that they, you'll hear some of them say that, police officers don't make a lot of money. They don't make this and that. Well, since more people are coming out and pulling records, some states are actually, they have the stuff just available on the internet. You can just pull it up and see. An officer can typically make, especially in our area, and I don't know if all of them are unionized, but a lot of them that I've seen are. I have a sheet at home. It's like the minimum is like $29, $30 an hour. but that's hourly. They get overtime. So when they're sitting there outside of the gas station for 2 hours BSing with their buddies or having coffee and donuts, they're getting overtime. They're getting paid a lot of money. At the end of the year, I'm still trying right now to figure out what our the sheriff made the last year. I don't know if I'll get that record or not, but I'm sure it's $100,000 is what they'll end up taking home, type of a thing. And there's 50 some odd deputies, however many there are. I can't remember how many there were on the list that they gave me, but a lot. And if just their public records clerk lady makes $50,000-$60,000 and doesn't know how to do her job, like, I would expect that the deputy's going to make more than that, But I did get 5 budgeted numbers for 5 employees, and that was like the sheriff's deputy, records clerk, HR director, or it was a employee relations director. Just those 5 or 6 employees that I pulled, it was $500,000. $500,000, and I don't know if that includes benefits or they won't give me information. Like if I ask somebody what they made, or if I ask for like a pay statement, like they wouldn't beat around the bush. They would just give me, and if they did screw it up because they didn't understand, I would just explain, hey, I needed this too. They would just probably give it to you. But these guys are like, oh no, you gotta like have it to a T exactly what you want, or we're gonna say we don't have that record, or we can't find it, we don't know what you mean. When all actuality, they know exactly what I mean, but they're just playing a word game. And they just love to do it. They love to shut a door on you every chance they can.
To reiterate on something that you had said earlier about documentation on the internet, we live in a world of information. I mean, I can pull up anything on my computer here, and we could find pretty much anything out that we want to. But, as you say, only some states allow that. So what have you found in this area and surrounding areas?
So our area and surrounding, even if we probably go out like 30-mile radius, 50-mile radius, where we're just touching into the cities some, even though it's 2020, we're not in the digital world in this part of the country yet for some reason. I mean, these guys see me come in with a phone and a gimbal, and they're like, what the heck's this guy doing? Like, what is that? And so I believe Polk County, at least from what they tell me, they're still a paper file cabinet system. They don't have, they're just, I think just started last year scanning in their documents to get them, digital. I mean, these are people that I asked them to send me emails, like as records. I think it took like 4 months or something like that for them to give me emails regarding my name. So I don't know about you, but I can search through and sift through thousands. I probably have 10,000 in my email right now. And if somebody said, hey, I want to know about Jim Bob, can you find all the emails on him and send them to me? I think that would take me maybe 10 minutes and I would be done. It took them 4 months, and then they gave me half. I could see big gaps in the dates. And then they gave me a bunch of duplicates. So it was really hard to even figure out what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
And they have an IT department. I'm pretty sure their IT director makes, $100,000.
Probably more than the officers themselves.
And so I know these guys aren't idiots. I don't know if they have meetings when they talk about giving people raises. I think we just leave that responsibility onto themselves and go, hey, yeah, if you feel that, you're in charge. So if you think so-and-so below you needs a raise, you just give it to them. Because I guarantee if more people would look into what they actually do for us, would go, what? Why do we pay this person $60,000 a year? She can't send an email? She can't pull a piece of paper out of a file cabinet?
In a timely manner.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay that.
And if it takes 4 months for you to receive your paper, how much does she have on her plate, and why isn't there more people helping her out?
Exactly. And they bounce me back and forth to other people because they're so busy. I said, yeah, but that's why you have this position. That is their job as their records clerk.
Yes.
So why would I need to go talk to the chief deputy to get records? I don't think that's his job.
Right.
Right. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, back to the question, the area, it's pretty much all manual from what I can tell.